Hello, welcome to the Gary Goff Show, our recap of the 2018 fall campaign. I'm Russ Snyder, voice of the Dragons. Head coach Gary Goff sitting to my right, and coach, we talk about it every year. It goes by faster and faster, but the G2 is already a week into the playoff season. We're here talking about the recap of the season, and a pretty successful year, I'd say, as you get a chance to look back.
Oh, I think it was a very successful year. We were picked to finish fourth in the conference, and we did a little bit better than that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody expected us to kind of have this well of a season besides us, but it was also a crazy year. We had a lot of different injuries, but that
both on the field and off.
Both on and off. But that bodes well for us. We've got 7 guys who are getting a medical red shirt, and they'll be back next year. But as a result of that, we only had 7 seniors. So.
Right.
Played a lot of young people this season, got a lot of experience behind them now, so I think it bodes well for us in the future.
It was a very interesting year. The schedule was interesting as well. He's opened up with a home game against a former conference opponent, Northwood, a tough GLIAC school. We got a nice win to get the year started. Then 4 straight road games. You ever had that many road games in the first month of the season?
No, we were not home the entire month of September, so that was very strange. But it's just the way the schedule fell with us being the newest member into the GMAC. And hopefully next year we'll enjoy being home for the entire month of September, but yet those road games are going to come somewhere, so you're going to have another long stretch of away games.
I guess the positive way to look at that is it's a great way for your team to come together early in the season. You got to go on the road and get all 4 of those victories. So after those 4 road games, you're 5-0. A couple conference win in there, a couple other non-conference wins, including a former conference school in Wayne State.
Yeah.
As you got ready to come home. So if you take the positive from that, is sure it was tough being away. Your family probably didn't recognize you when you got home after September, but after that tough stretch, you came in at 5-0 before you came home.
Well, what you just said, I think is exactly right. It forced our young guys to grow up real fast.
Right.
I think I looked up, and at one point early in the season, we were traveling 17 either true freshmen or redshirt freshmen. Well, you never know how those guys are going to react when you're traveling for the first time. They're not used to the bus ride, they're not used to the meal, the hotel, or waking up early in the morning and having meetings. So, I think early in the season it just became the norm.
Right.
So those guys responded very well, and they didn't know any better. So
they had to.
Right.
I remember you telling me that stat before we got ready for one of your coaches' shows. It just blew my mind. The fact that you were able to travel so many young kids and still have the success you had this year really lays a great foundation for what's to come.
Absolutely. My coaching staff did a phenomenal job. All season long we just worried about that meeting at that moment, that practice that day, and being 1-0 that week. We didn't care who our opponent was. So, I think my coaches did a great job with that, and it showed on the field to these young guys. They just didn't know any better, so they went out there and played hard.
Just go and play football. Right. At that point. Then you had 3 home games in a row, 3 conference games, got some big wins, including a win over a team that many people thought was going to win the conference in Ohio Dominican.
Yeah, a great win for our program right there. Ohio Dominican's been a very good program for many years. They've won the GLIAC several times. They've been deep in the playoffs. That was a big win for us. Again, we were worried about us. We were worried about how Tiffin was going to play the game, and we went out there for 4 quarters and played extremely hard and came in with a victory right there. So it really set the stage, for the remaining part of that stretch right there. But I think at that point that was maybe our second week of being ranked in the top 25, which was new to us. So, we were trying to figure out how to handle success right there the next several weeks, because I didn't want the team to worry about, we're 15th in the country. That's awesome. Let's pat ourselves on the back. And I think for the most part they did a great job responding to that.
Well, the end of the schedule was pretty tough. You had to win at Lake Erie. They had to come home or go on the road to take on Hillsdale, a game that was for the conference championship. And Dragons fell in that game. You had to lead at halftime.
Yeah.
But look at what Hillsdale did last week and what they have in front of them in the conference or in the playoffs. That's a pretty darn good football team.
Well, they are. You look at our conference, and I think if Ohio Dominican, Tiffin, Hillsdale, and Findlay played each other 10 times, they all might be 5-5 after that stretch.
Right.
So I think it's 4 really good football teams right there. We went up to Hillsdale to play them for the conference championship, which was a lot of excitement and buzz. And then as a coach, that entire week we're worried about, hey, don't pay attention to the media. Let's focus on us. And the first half of that game was exactly what we wanted. It was going to turn into a shootout. But going into halftime, unfortunately, we had 4 injuries going into halftime, and I didn't even realize that coming off the field. And we had a few more true freshmen, having to play in that game, and that was a big game for us, and probably bigger than we needed it to be at that moment when all those freshmen are playing. But again, a great learning experience. I think with every tough loss, You can either come away and be extremely upset and not reflect about what you've learned from that game. And that was a tough game for us. I think we did learn a lot coming out of that game right there, and it'll bode well for the future.
As you said, coming into the year, preseason picked 4 or 5 or whatever in the conference, but you finished 9-2. And as you said, with all the young guys having to play, some of your seniors being able to offer some leadership from the young guys, and 9-2, a very successful season. And as we said earlier, it really bodes well for what you got coming into the future. And the all-conference player really shows the depth and the talent you have in your squad. 8 on offense and 8 on defense got all conference recognition.
Yeah, and that's just a testament to how hard these young men have been working. You look at it, and our starting tailback from a year ago, Jaquan Hardy, gets hurt in camp, doesn't play a snap for us this year. And then you had Kyle Brunson step in and have a phenomenal season.
What a year Kyle had.
And he missed 2 games himself due to injury, and still, almost broke 1,000 yards rushing. But, for him to get first team all-conference is very exciting. And I think a lot of that's got to do with our offensive line play.
And those offensive line guys are on this as well. That's the one thing that's different this year, Coach. In the past, we look at these all-conference players. You see the players that make the conference. How are we going to replace this guy? How are we going to replace that guy? Yeah. That's not as big a worry this year.
No, it's not, because we were able to redshirt a lot of guys as well. But anytime you got to worry about placing Logan Snyder, our all-conference center, Jordan Fair. Some of those guys, there's some concern and worry, but that's what the offseason's for. Yep. We were able to redshirt 6 offensive linemen this year, and excited to watch some of those guys develop and play this spring. And then on the defensive side, same thing. Charlie Cleveland hurt himself in camp, did not play a down for us.
Yeah.
And arguably maybe one of the best defensive linemen in our conference, maybe our region, maybe across the country. Yeah. So excited about getting him back. But you had some guys in our defensive line that really stepped up and had a great season. And then our all-conference linebacker, Avion Boyd, and their all-conference safety, Dejon Isabel. So, you got to worry about replacing those guys. But I feel like we got a lot of safeties. And then at linebacker position, same thing. We redshirted 4 linebackers. So, once you get to this point where you're able to redshirt some guys and they become those 5th-year seniors, now you're talking about, some of the better programs in the country have been able to do that over the years. And hopefully we're, starting to become in that mix a little bit more.
Well, the word depth has become part of our conversation over the last couple of years. That wasn't early on in your career here at Tiffin University. The first team Dragons were running back Kyle Brunson, wide receiver Charles Holland, and defensive back Dejon Isbell. Isbell had that 3-interception game at Alderson Broadus. That was a huge game for your defense, especially for Dejon.
Yeah, I think he finished second in the conference with 5 interceptions, but in return yards, I think he might have been first in the conference. I think he almost had 200 yard returns on those 5 interceptions. So, he had a great season for us. And solid football player. But, like I said, we have 3 other safeties that played a lot this year, and I'm anxious to work with them in the spring, and those guys are going to get better with every snap. 3
offensive linemen have garnered second team mentioned, Jeremiah Campbell, Logan Schneider, and Jordan Fair. And then 4 defensive players, Dejon Morgan, Jacob Williams, who had a really nice year for you at corner, Avion Boyd, as you mentioned, and then A.J. Wright. He actually got a chance to get himself in the end zone this year.
A.J. Wright had that pick 6 at Lake Erie that really sparked us. And I tell you, that young man he's a lot of fun to be around. And I joke with him in front of the team nonstop now. I tell him he's been in my office 3 or 4 times wanting to play tight end. Hey, we have a lot of explosive players coming back. Our seniors, hats off to them. Love all 7 of them to death. I mean, they're a big part of our success and a big part of how we've changed the culture around here. And now we're winning a lot of football games, and they'll be greatly missed. But it's going to be exciting to see some of these other guys step up and make some plays down the stretch for us. And, like everybody this time of year, we're starting, it's ground zero.
Right.
There really is no starters right now, and there's no 9-2 record to be excited about. It's time to get to the off season and start working extremely hard, so that way, next year we put ourselves in the same position, and that's to play for a conference championship and to get into the playoffs.
The final Dragons on the all GMAC team are quarterback Nick Watson, wide receiver Victor Talley, offensive lineman Rich Tarwaki, and on the defensive side, Ross Moore, who seemed to be just putting his nose in everywhere, plays undersized no matter what position he's at, and plays just as hard, plays just as big as anybody else when he's out there. And then Alexander Melfi and Tariq Gilbert on the defensive line. Melfi had a great year for you as a young kid.
Yeah, redshirt freshman right there. And the future is very bright for him. I mean, he improved every game this season, but I think next year will be a really big year for him. And then, especially if we can get healthy at that defensive line position, we were able to redshirt about 7 D linemen, but, getting Charlie Cleveland back in the mix, and then you got Mike Sable getting healthy again, then Melfi and A.J. Wright, and then some of those redshirt
nice defensive line right there. Did you just say?
Again, I think next year our strength of the program will be the defensive line.
That's always a good thing.
Absolutely.
Well, it's off season now. Now it's the 2019 football season, really for you. What you need to do here over the winter months to get yourself ready for spring practice?
Yeah, well, we're already deep into recruiting. Planning out who we're going to bring in mid-year and where we're going to hit the road in December and what are exactly our needs. With us only having 7 seniors, it won't be a huge signing class, and that's exciting and encouraging. But as soon as the guys get back from the holidays, we'll be right back in the weight room, early morning condition, and working really hard there. Like always, you got to get bigger and stronger. But yeah, we're already well underway in the off season, and I think everybody is excited about what we just accomplished, but at the same time, maybe just this much more hungrier to finish the deal. And my wife made the comment to me, it's hard to be upset about 9-2, and I said, no, you're exactly right. I mean, there's nobody feeling sorry for ourselves, but we're all still very upset and angry that we didn't finish 11-0.
Yeah.
And from where we started, our first days together here,
things are a little different.
Things have changed drastically, and it's encouraging and exciting. And the job's never done, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you go 11-0 or 0-11. It's time to get back to work and back to the drawing board and see if you can improve.
First year in the Great Midwest Athletic Conference. Your thoughts on your first year?
I love it. Us not taking that bus ride to the UP means everything.
Yep.
But I think it's a great conference. I really do. I mean, again, with us, Ohio Dominican, Hillsdale, Findlay, you're talking about teams that were very strong in the GLIAC.
Yep.
And very competitive in the GLIAC. But it makes sense. We're in a conference with like schools, and I think with Hillsdale having success this weekend in the playoffs and possibly having success even in the next round, I think it bodes well for our conference, and I think we'll get a lot of respect as we end this academic school year, not just in football, but in every other program as well.
Well, you're absolutely right. The athletic programs around campus here are definitely on an upward slope across the board.
Yeah, I think at the end of the season we had, was it 4 or 5 programs on campus that were ranked in the top 25.
That's amazing.
It's exciting for the entire campus.
Yes, it absolutely is. All right, final question here for you, Coach, as we wrap up the 2018 campaign. Is your goal to be on the sideline for all 11 games next year?
Absolutely. What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Our fans do.
No, I tell you what, hats off to my staff. I couldn't be more proud of them. I've got a great staff here, guys that trust each other, work hard with each other, respect each other, but yet challenge each other. And I think that's what's necessary in order to grow as a staff and be able to work together and get better every year. So, I have no issues trusting those guys with everything, and it showed early on in this season. I think they did a great job.
Well, your coaching staff, your players have been nothing but respectful to me, and they're great in the community, great on campus. So Tiffin University football is in a pretty good place right now. It's going to be a lot of fun to see where it goes.
Absolutely.
As you said, you can't be, what we did this year, you can't be satisfied with it because it's only really a block in the temple you're trying to build.
Absolutely. It's over. I told the team that Monday after our last game. I said, hey, I'm excited. We finished 9-2, and they were too. But, there was a lot of long faces in that room, and including some of us coaches. We had to pick ourselves back up because, we were just right there. We were right at the door, and it's time for us to kick it down and walk through that door. Injuries are a part of the game. We had just a lot of injuries this year. But we got to do a great job developing our number 2s and our number 3s. I just think the game has changed a lot, and you're going to have a lot of injuries. I don't care if you're at Michigan, Ohio State, or at Tiffin. It's just going to be part of the game. So you can't feel sorry for yourself. You can't, sit there and say, why us, why me? The next guy's got to be ready. They got to be ready and prepared to step in and do a great job.
Off-season has begun. Recruiting, spring practice in the spring. Then the kids will work hard in the summer and report for fall camp. And then we'll go start doing this again next year. You ready?
Can't wait.
I'm ready too. He's Gary Goff. I'm Russ Snyder. And this has been our recap of the 2018 Tiffin University Fall Campaign. Can't wait to see you next year. Fall 19 will be right around the corner.